Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going into something, well, really crucial. Building that financial safety net. You know, the rainy day fund. It can really take the pressure off when life throws those inevitable curveballs your way.
Yeah.
Think of it as your personal strategy for, well, navigating unexpected challenges without all the stress and building some real financial security.
Exactly. And look, whether you're just, starting to think about saving, or maybe you're looking to really supercharge your current approach.
Right.
Our deep dive into these sources, it's packed with practical strategies, real no-nonsense stuff.
Yeah, not just theory.
No, we're digging into what actually works.
Precisely. We've looked at some really insightful material to break down the steps to building this financial preparedness. So our mission today is really to extract the most valuable nuggets, the effective techniques, so you can walk away with concrete actions, things you can implement, like today.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's unpack the very first step, the foundation of it all, really. Creating a budget.
A budget is, it's truly the cornerstone. It's the fundamental tool, that underpins any successful savings plan.
Right.
It's like trying to navigate without a map. If you don't understand where your money is actually going right now, well, it becomes incredibly difficult to find those areas where you could save.
And redirect things.
Exactly. Redirect those funds.
So how do we actually, draw up this financial map? The sources lay out a pretty straightforward process. First, get a clear picture of all your income. Every single source.
Everything coming in. Yeah.
Then comes the part that's maybe less fun for some, but absolutely vital. Tracking your expenses. And it seems the real power here is in how you break those down.
Absolutely. Categorizing your spending. Yeah. Essentials, rent, utilities, groceries, that stuff.
The must-haves.
Right. Versus the non-essentials like dining out, entertainment, maybe hobbies that tend to stretch the budget a bit. Doing that gives you a really eye-opening perspective. Honestly, a lot of people are surprised when they see how much the sort of mindless spending, those small, frequent buys, actually adds up each month.
Oh, for sure.
Seeing that clearly, it shows you the leaks, those hidden leaks in your financial flow.
And this isn't just a one-and-done thing, is it? The sources really stress, revisiting and tweaking your budget regularly. Things change.
That's such a crucial point. Life circumstances evolve, right? Maybe you get a raise, maybe your commute costs change.
Or kids' activities, anything.
Anything. By keeping your budget like a living document, you make sure your savings plan stays relevant, stays effective. What's fascinating here is how just consistently tracking and reviewing, it leads to so much self-awareness and the power to make informed financial choices. It's not about restriction, really.
It's about control.
It's about having control. Exactly.
Okay, so we've got a budget. We have a decent handle on where the money's going. What's the next piece of this puzzle? Building that financial strength. It feels like you need a destination.
You do. Strategy number 2 is all about setting clear savings goals.
Okay.
Think of these as your financial landmarks on that map we just talked about. They give your saving efforts purpose, a real direction.
Right.
Without specific goals, saving can feel kind of abstract, like you're just putting money aside. Why? It makes it much harder to stay motivated.
Okay, so how do we actually, nail down effective goals? The sources mentioned really defining what you're saving for and, importantly, how much you actually need.
That's the essential first step. Then breaking those bigger goals down, smaller, more manageable chunks. Short-term goals, long-term goals. That can be incredibly encouraging.
Give me an example, like short-term.
Okay, short-term might be, say, saving $500 for a new appliance. That feels much less daunting. Right? Then a big long-term goal, like, say, building a 6-month emergency fund, which we'll definitely get to later. It's about creating those stepping stones.
Okay. And the sources also highlighted the SMART framework. Can you give us a quick rundown? Why is that so useful?
Absolutely. SMART, it's an acronym, helps you define effective goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
SMART. Got it.
This framework basically ensures your goals aren't just vague wishes like, I want to save more.
Right, like a New Year's resolution that fades.
Exactly. They become well-defined and actually within reach. So instead of save more for retirement, a SMART goal is, I will increase my monthly retirement contribution by $100 starting next month.
Okay, very specific.
That clarity keeps you laser focused.
Yep.
And it boosts motivation because you can actually track your progress, see yourself getting closer.
That makes total sense. Turns it from a wish into, well, a plan. And there's also something about celebrating the wins along the way.
Yes, absolutely. Don't underestimate that. Acknowledging and celebrating those smaller milestones, maybe hitting your first $1,000 saved or paying off a small debt that gives you a significant psychological boost.
Keeps you going.
It reinforces those positive saving habits and makes the whole process feel, much more rewarding.
Yeah.
It's easy to get bogged down looking at the huge long-term picture. Those little celebrations really help keep you on track.
All right, so we know where money's going. We have clear targets. Now, the practical bit. How do we actually free up more cash to put towards those goals? Strategy number 3, cutting unnecessary expenses. This is where things can get real for people.
Precisely. By consciously identifying and then, eliminating non-essential spending, those things that maybe don't add huge value to your life, you can often unlock a surprisingly large amount of money.
Right.
Funds that can then be directly channeled towards your savings. It's about making intentional choices. Where does your money bring you the most satisfaction? Aligning spending with your priorities.
And the sources gave some really relatable examples of where to look, right? Things like maybe overdoing it on eating out. Those subscription services we signed up for ages ago and forgot about.
Oh, yeah. The silent money drain.
And those tempting impulse buys. We all do it sometimes. I know I'm guilty.
We all are. It's often those smaller, seemingly insignificant expenses that when you look at them together over a month or a year, wow, they really add up.
Yeah.
The sources suggest looking closely at things like maybe brewing your own coffee instead of the daily cafe trip.
That alone can be huge.
Or finally canceling those streaming services you haven't watched in months. These small changes done consistently can have a surprisingly substantial impact on your savings.
And it's important to remember, like the sources point out, this isn't about depriving yourself.
Right.
Living some joyless existence.
No, not at all. It's about consciously redirecting funds from things that maybe don't provide lasting value toward your savings goals, which ultimately contribute to that greater financial security and peace of mind we mentioned earlier.
Right.
And it's not just cutting the fun stuff either. The sources also touch on being smarter about your essential expenses.
Okay. So even on things we have to buy.
Absolutely. Finding ways to be more strategic there, too. Using coupons, keeping an eye out for sales, maybe switching to more affordable brands for groceries, without sacrificing quality.
Like store brands can be great.
Exactly. That can really make a noticeable difference to your bottom line. Frees up even more money for savings. Every little bit counts.
Okay, so we're budgeting, we're setting goals, we're finding leaks in our spending. Now, how do we make sure the saving actually happens consistently? Almost like on autopilot. Strategy 4, automating your savings. This sounds like a game changer for building habits.
It truly is. This is such a powerful strategy because it essentially removes the need for constant willpower. By setting up automatic transfers, you eliminate that temptation to spend the money before you get a chance to save it. It makes saving proactive, not reactive.
So the sources describe setting up those regular automatic transfers, checking account to savings, maybe every payday.
That's the classic way.
It's putting that pay yourself first idea into action, isn't it? I love that concept.
Exactly. By making saving an automatic part of your financial routine, it just naturally becomes a priority, not something you do if there's money left over at the end of the month.
Because often there isn't.
Because often there isn't, exactly. And it's amazing how many banks now offer tools that make this super easy. Recurring transfers, or even those clever features that, round up your purchases to the nearest dollar and sweep the change into savings.
Oh, I've seen those. Little bits add up.
They really do. Those seemingly tiny, almost unnoticed contributions can accumulate significantly over time. It's effortless saving, almost.
It sounds like automation really takes the mental load off. Helps build that consistent saving muscle without requiring constant conscious effort. Like set it and we'll mostly forget it in a good way.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It fosters that crucial discipline, reinforces the mindset that saving isn't optional. It's just an integral part of your overall financial health.
Right. We've covered budgeting, setting goals, trimming expenses, automating savings. Now for what's often called the bedrock of real financial preparedness.
Yeah.
Building an emergency fund. This sounds like the ultimate safety net.
Yes, the emergency fund is absolutely fundamental. It acts as your financial shock absorber.
Okay.
Provides that crucial buffer to handle those unexpected costs life just throws at us. Surprise medical bills, urgent car repairs, maybe even the financial hit from a sudden job loss.
Yeah, the big stuff.
It's what helps prevent you from having to go into debt or, derail your long-term financial goals when those situations pop up. It offers invaluable peace of mind.
So how do we actually build this? The sources suggest starting small, being consistent. That feels manageable.
That's exactly the right approach. Even setting aside a relatively modest amount each month, maybe $50, $100, whatever fits your current budget, makes a significant difference over time.
Consistency is key.
The key, like with all saving, is consistency. And then gradually increasing your contributions as your situation improves helps you reach your target emergency fund amount faster.
And the sources really hammered home keeping this money separate, like separate from our regular checking or savings. Why is that separation so critical in practice?
That separation is crucial, both practically and psychologically.
Yep.
It ensures these funds are specifically reserved for true unexpected emergencies, not accidentally dipped into for everyday stuff or, those tempting non-essential buys.
Right, avoids temptation.
It reinforces the intended purpose of the fund.
Yeah.
And the sources also mention finding that sweet spot between accessibility you need it in a real emergency and avoiding the temptation to use it casually.
Right, need to get to it if the car breaks down, but not so easy to use it for a weekend sale.
Exactly. A high-yield savings account often strikes that balance. Usually offers pretty easy access when needed, but maybe not instant like checking. Plus, you might earn a little interest. And a really critical point, if you do have to use your emergency fund, the immediate priority afterwards should be to replenish it. Build it back up as quickly as you can. You need to stay protected for the next unexpected event.
Like restocking your financial first aid kit.
Exactly. You want it well stocked, always.
Okay, so to kind of bring all these valuable insights together, we've taken a deep dive into 5 key strategies here. Creating a budget.
Get that clear picture.
Setting clear, motivating savings goals.
You know where you're going.
Consciously cutting those unnecessary expenses to free up funds.
Making intentional choices.
Automating our savings to build consistency.
Be yourself first.
And finally, establishing that vital emergency fund for true peace of mind.
Yeah, and each of these strategies, they're not just important on their own, they're deeply interconnected.
Right.
Implementing them together in a coordinated way, that's what creates a really robust savings plan. It gives you immediate stability, sure, but also that solid foundation for long-term security and those bigger goals we talked about.
It really highlights that saving isn't just, a responsible chore. It's fundamental to building a secure, less stressful financial future for yourself.
Absolutely. And as the sources we explored really highlight, saving is a journey. It takes patience, discipline, and maybe most importantly, consistency.
Yeah.
It might feel a bit overwhelming thinking about doing all this at once, but it's entirely achievable. Just start with small, manageable steps. Build from there.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's clear these strategies offer a really valuable roadmap for anyone looking to build a stronger, more resilient financial foundation.
Indeed. And with that in mind, maybe here's a final thought for you, the listener, to consider.
Okay.
Take a moment. Reflect on which of these 5 strategies really resonates most with you right now. Which one could you maybe implement for the first time or perhaps strengthen starting today? And maybe think about what specific unexpected event would having a solid rainy day fund best prepare you for? How can taking greater control in this way boost your financial confidence and ultimately your sense of security down the road?